Rob Penney to the Crusaders, folks. The second of the kind of vacant Super Rugby roles for next year has been filled, and it is the Crusaders who named their coach for next year after the Hurricanes did the same about a week ago. Rob Penney is the man to take over from Scott Robertson. It's not an easy one to take over. Expectations, like it's a great team to take over, but goodness me, expectations don't get any higher than being the coach of the Crusaders. So, yeah, man, it's going to be a tough one. But what a heck of a job to be taking over, right? You're going to get kind of a factory line of talent from New Zealand Rugby, a incredibly winning team with a bunch of talent in it. Not all of it's leaving, Sam Whitelock's leaving and whatnot, but they're still going to have a heck of a team for next year, and Rob Penney is the man to take him over. We'll go through kind of his coaching record and some of the other candidates, the assistant coaches and whatnot, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. So, if the media are to be believed, it was Vern Cotter as well as Ross Filippo who were the other kind of main candidates for this role alongside Rob Penney kind of on the short list, although Filippo, I think, said on social media that it was kind of news to him. So that may or may not have been the case, but Vern Cotter certainly would have been a big name to be in the mix. But Rob Penney, with his kind of Canterbury connection, albeit a wee while ago, maybe kind of put him in good stead, being a former player, Crusaders assistant, and then Canterbury coach of that NPC side, which won titles in 2008, 9, 10, and 11, with Scott Robertson as his assistant back in those days. But yeah, he's certainly been there and done it with the NPC team. Coached the New Zealand under-20s. I think only like 5 games, but went 3 from 5. I think lost to South Africa, if that was the 2012 series. And then off to Munster, where I think it's a little bit regarded, this is kind of before I was following much European club rugby, but I think it's kind of regarded that Rob Penney didn't get the fairest of cracks at Munster. Had a couple of years, had an option for a third year on his contract, but then opted not to take it, with maybe a bit of kind of backroom stuff going on. Did all right with Munster. His success rate was like 62% in terms of wins and losses. Didn't get any trophies, but made a couple of Heineken Cup semi-finals and whatnot. So opted not to take them up on a third year of their deal, and then headed off to Japan to take over the Shining Arcs, where he was for 4 or 5 years initially. And I never followed Japanese rugby at all, but I've looked back at the kind of competition placings, and it seems like his side was kind of a playoff side most of those years when he was in charge in that initial stint, to the point where he got the Waratahs job. So he's certainly been around the block, has old Rob Penney. Now, the Waratahs is the first one where it really kind of goes to custard. I guess a lot of us New Zealanders wouldn't really have followed much of the Munster and Japan career, so we've kind of gone from him in the NPC, buggering off abroad, and then coming back to the Waratahs to a 24% win rate. Like, not the best. Goes through that Super Rugby AU campaign with COVID and whatnot, winless. It was like none from 8, I think, in that campaign. And admittedly, it was kind of a Waratahs side on the rebuild. It was very much a young side, but eventually he pretty much gets the sack halfway through his Waratahs contract. I think because they had a clause in his contract where they could essentially let him go with a 3-month pay deal. They didn't have to pay out his whole contract, so it was kind of easier to let him go. And let him go they did. So, yeah, a little bit of a blip on kind of his Super Rugby coaching career with the Tars, but then back off to Japan, back to the Shining Arcs, where it kind of apparently hasn't gone all that well. Obviously, they were in the news when they signed Israel Folau for his team, but then, they got relegated from like the Japanese League One with him at the helm, and then he's off and joined the Japanese under-20s team, who he's coaching presently. When he's finished with them, he will link up with the Crusaders on the 1st of August. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. Success with the Crusaders as assistant, success with the NPC side, pretty good with Munster, albeit some backroom stuff maybe not going his way, and seemingly a decent stint in Japan, and then followed by a couple of recent not-so-flash stints in both Australia and then back in Japan. He's going to have help, though. Like, it seems like the backroom staff is largely the same, with Matt Todd coming in to help as well, with Scott Hansen off to the ABs. Still going to be Tamati Allison, still going to be James Marshall, so he's still going to have pretty much the same assistants that Scott Robertson has had with the Crusaders. So Yeah, as I said, it's kind of an interesting one. It's a difficult job because essentially anything else than champions is a bit of a letdown from where Scott Robertson has left you off, although this season is still not done and dusted to see where Scott Robertson finishes up with this final season with the Crusaders. But yeah, massive shoes to fill. So only success will basically be acceptable. Otherwise, it'll be seen as not too flash. But yeah, we wish him the best. As a Blues fan, I kind of hope that things get a little bit more competitive in Super Rugby with the departure of Scott Robertson. I hope he brings that magic touch to the All Blacks and the Crusaders maybe come down a peg and the rest of us can get some wins, or at least some trophies. But yeah, we'll see. You guys let us know your thoughts. If you're a Crusaders fan, are you happy with Rob Penney? Are you a little bit worried by kind of what went on with his time at the Tars? Would you have rather seen Vern Cotter or potentially somebody else? You must be pretty chuffed that Matt Todd is coming back to Crusaders country to do some coaching. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See ya.